Okay, go ahead and pause and do the homework check. Chapter 6, Lesson 2 is substitution. So again, we've been talking about ways to solve systems of equations. So where you have two equations with two variables. In the last lesson, we talked about graphing to figure out where they crossed and if they crossed or if they didn't cross. So now today we're going to do it by substitution. So go ahead and pause here and write down the notes on the steps on how to solve substitution, and then we'll talk about them. Okay, so the first important thing to know about substitution is that when we are doing two equations, we want one of the equations to be, like x equals something y. And then we want the second equation to be like in standard form most often. So like x and y on the same side. So that way we can say, okay, I know that x is the same thing as 2y. So I can circle this 2y here and I can put it in instead of x, because if x equals 2y, then I can just put that in there and then I'll be down to one variable. So that's what it means by substitute into the second equation. Then once I have the second equation down to just one type of variable, I'm going to combine like terms, add, subtract, multiply, divide, get y by itself. Then what you do is you substitute back into the first equation. So let's say I got y to equal 3. Well, I know that x is the same as 2y. So I put it back up in that equation. And so then x would be 6. Then make sure always, as yesterday, write your solution as the x term, comma, the y term. This remember, I think, was supposed to say, remember to watch for no solutions or many solutions. Okay, so for number 1 here, we have y is the same as 2x or 6x. And then my second equation, I have 2x plus 3y then would equal negative 20. So I already have one equation where y is by itself, so I'm going to circle that. And I'm going to substitute it in the y's place. So my equation down there becomes 2x plus 3. And now instead of y, I'm going to say, what does y equal? Well, y equals 6x. And then I'm going to finish the equation with equals negative 20. And I just remembered that I like to do this usually with different colors so you can kind of see what's going on. Let me do that real quick. There. So you can see there that I substituted in that 6x in the y spot because that is what y is equal. Now I've done it correctly because I'm down to one variable in my equations. So now this becomes 2x plus 18x equals negative 20. Combine like terms. So 20x equals negative 20. Divide both sides by 20. And I get x to be negative 1. So I'm going to come up here and start my solution with negative 1 for the x place. Now, since I know that x is negative 1, and I know that y equals 6 times x, I'm going to put the negative 1 in there and back in that top equation. And then that would give me y equals negative 6. So if I were to have put the second equation in y equals and then graph them both on the same coordinate plane, I would also have figured out that it was at negative 1, negative 6. So this is just another way that's different from what we did yesterday to solve two equations that have two variables. Okay, number 2. It tells me that x is equal to 3y. So I'm going to put 3y in the x place. So I'm going to rewrite that second equation as 3. And then instead of x, I'm going to substitute in the 3y minus 5y equal to 12. Now I've done it correctly because now my second equation only has two variables. So when I distribute, that would give me 9y minus 5y equals 12. Combine like terms, 4y equals 12. Divide by 4, and we know that the y term is now 3. So I'm going to put that back up into the x equation. So I had come on. X equals 3 times y. And I know that y is 3. And so then I distribute and I get x equals 9. Okay, number 3. This one's a little bit different. The second one is not set up into standard form. So it's fine that both equations are just equal to x. That means when I do my substitution, I'm not going to have to do any distributing. So I still just circle that 2y plus 7, and I'm still substituting it in here for the x. You could put a 1 there if you wanted, but it would just honestly make it more work. So now the second equation, instead of just being x equals y plus 4, it's going to be 2y plus 7 equals y plus 4. Subtract 1y to each side because there's no distribute. So it's just a combine like terms. And then there's no multiply or divide, so just add or subtract. So y is negative 3. Go ahead and come up and put that in the y place. And then that needs to go back up into the original equation, which says x equals 2 times, and we know y is negative 3 plus 7. So x equals negative 6 plus 7. So x equals 1. Okay, let's see if we can find a no solution here. Okay, I found both. I found a many solution and a no solution. Okay, so let's look at number 8 here. We can't do 8 right away because the top equation is not a variable by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is change that top equation. I'm going to add 2y to both sides so that I have a variable by itself. Now I'm going to circle that and put it into the x place. So my second equation is going to become 4 times, instead of x, I'm going to put 2y plus 3. Oh, it didn't change my color. Equal or minus 8y. Almost forgot the rest of the equation. Equals 12. So now when I distribute here, I'm going to get 8y plus 12 minus 8y equals 12. And when I go to combine like terms, those are going to cross out, and I'm left with 12 equals 12. So when solving and all variables cancel, and you are left with number equals number, many solutions. Okay, so now let's look at number 11. Again, I'm going to take this top one and subtract 14y to both sides. Whoops. So that I have one equation, one variable by itself. So when I rewrite the second equation, it's going to become 2. Instead of x, I'm going to write negative 14y plus 84 minus 7y equals negative 7. And when I distribute, that's going to give me negative 28y. Shoot, I thought this was going to cancel out. I must have done my math wrong. Yep, this is not going to be a no solution one. That's okay. We'll still continue it. Plus 168 minus 7y equals negative 7. Combining like terms, so negative 28 and negative 7 gives me negative 35y plus 168 equals negative 7. And subtracting 168 to both sides, gives me negative 35y equals negative 175. And when I divide by 35, I get y to be 5. Put that back up into the x equation. So I had x equals negative 14 times y, but instead of y, I'm going to put 5 in there, plus 84. So negative 14 times 5 plus 84 gives me 14. Okay, let's go back and hunt for a no solution one. Okay, here's one. Number 5. I hope this one is it. Come on. Okay, number 5. So I'm going to substitute in, I'm going to have 2x minus 2x plus 6 equal to 2. I'm going to sneak a 1 in here so that I know what I'm distributing. It's negative 1 times 2 gives me negative 2x. And then negative 1 times 6 gives me negative 6. And notice here when I combine like terms, they cross out and I get negative 6, which does not equal 2. So when variables cross out, and you are left with 2 non-equal numbers. No solution. Okay, let's do our word problem here and then we're done. Tickets to a movie cost $7.25 for adults and $5.50 for students. A group of 8 friends purchased 8 tickets for, or a group of friends purchased 8 tickets for $52.75. So remember we talked about yesterday, we're going to have one that's talking about the number of tickets. So we don't know how many adults and we don't know how many students, but we know they bought 8 tickets. And our second equation is going to be the money. So $7.25 for adults plus $5.50 for students equal to $52.75. So I'm going to rewrite this first equation by subtracting y to each side. So x equals negative y plus 8 so that I can circle and sub. So my second equation is going to be 7.25. Instead of x, I'm going to have negative y plus 8 plus 550x equals 52.75. When I distribute, that's going to give me negative 7.25y. What did I do up here? And then 7.25 times 8 is 58. Plus 550y equals 52.75. Negative 750 plus 550 is negative 2y plus 58 equals 52.75. Subtract 58 to both sides. Negative 2y. That can't be right. I did something wrong here. Let's see. 7.25 negative plus 5.5 is negative 1.75 y. Okay, so negative 1.75 y equals, and then I have 52.75 minus 58 is negative 5.25. Divide by negative 1.75, and hopefully we get a whole number. I get y equals 3. So I know that there were 3 student tickets because that's my Y. I'm going to put that back up into that red equation, which said x equals negative y. So I'm going to put negative 3 plus 8. So x equals 5. So 5 adult.